Time travelers. Welcome new time travelers. As always, if you're new to this channel and enjoy learning about history, one event at a time, not only from the US, but from around the world, don't forget to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. Without further ado, let's get into it. Today, we're going to start out in 1453 when French forces routed the English in the Battle of Castellon, the concluding battle of the 100 Years' War. In 1683, Turkish forces began the siege of Vienna against Habsburg Holy Roman Emperor Leopold I. 1763 is when John Jacob Astor, founder of the renewed family of the Anglo-American capitalist, business leader, and philanthropist, was born in Waldorf, Germany. In 1862, Abraham Lincoln's Wartime Congress passed the Second Confiscation Act, a predecessor of the Emancipation Proclamation. 1902 is when American mechanical engineer Willis Carrier completed drawings for what would become the first modern air conditioner. 1918 is when the Carpathia, the ocean liner that rescued the survivors of the Titanic in 1912, was sunk in by a German U-boat during World War I. 1918 also brought us former Russian Tsar Nicholas II and his family were executed by Bolsheviks. Now, a well-planned uprising by nationalist rebels against the Republican government of Spain began on this day in 1936, sparking a bloody civil war that lasted until 1939, when nationalists and Franco assumed power. 1944 is when German Field Marshal Erwin Rommel was secretly injured when his car was found off the road by British fighter bombers. The following year, in 1945, Joseph Stalin, Winston Churchill, and Harry S. Truman met at the Potsdam Conference, the Allied Summit Conference of World War II. 10 years later, in 1955, Disneyland, an amusement park featuring attractions based on creations of Walt Disney and the Disney Company, opened in Anaheim, California. 1955 also brought Argo, Idaho, becomes the first city lit by nuclear power. 1967 is when Newark, New Jersey, rioting ended after 6 days, leaving 26 dead and 1,500 reported injured, 1,397 arrested, and more than 300 fires, and an estimated of $15 to $30 million in property damage in 10 of the city's 23 square miles. In 1988, 4 billion TV viewers watched Mandela's 70th birthday tribute. In 1996, TWA Flight 800 crashed into the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Long Island, killing all 230 people on board. A U.S. government inquiry determined that a mixture of fuel and air had ignited accidentally within a fuel tank, though others believed the jetliner was shot down by a missile. 1996 also brought us 500,000 Israeli strike, responding to a call made by leaders of Histadrut, a trade union federation, and estimated of 500,000 Israeli workers took part in a 10-hour general strike to protest broad budget cuts proposed by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his Likud-led coalition government. The strike shut down the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange, banks, factories, and public utilities. It also slowed operations by country's airports, post offices, government agencies, and hospitals. The workers threatened further disruptions if the government carried out its plan to raise bus fares, increasing the cost of health care and education, and cut back child care allowances and pensions. These and similar cuts, they contended, would place an unjustified burden on the poor and middle class. 2 years later, in 1998, the United Nations completed the statute establishing the International Crime Court, which began sitting 4 years later. In 2009, American journalist Walter Cronkite, who, as a longtime anchor of CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite, that spanned from 1962 to 1981, became known as the most trusted man in America, died at the age of 92. 2014 is when Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 crashed in separatist-held territory in Ukraine, killing all 298 people on board. A Dutch investigation later determined the aircraft was shot down by a Russian-made surface-to-air missile. And finally, 4 years ago, in 2020, American civil rights leader and politician John Lewis, who helped lead the march that was halted by police violence on Edmund Pettus Bridge in Salem, Alabama, in 1965, a landmark event in the history of civil rights movement, died at the age of 80. And with that, we return to 2024 and our current history. Until next time.